Book of Heaven, Volume 11. 4 June to 12 August 1916. Page 129 to 135. June 4, 1916. The very sins and bitternesses of people pour themselves down upon them, since Luisa cannot contain them completely. This morning, my always adorable Jesus seemed to come. I squeezed him to my heart, and Jesus gave me a kiss, but as he was kissing me, I felt a most bitter liquid flow from his mouth into mine. I remained amazed in seeing that, without begging him, sweet Jesus was pouring his bitternesses into me, while at other times I had begged him so much and he didn't concede that to me. Then, when I was filled with that most bitter liquid, Jesus continued to pour it. It spilled outside, it went on the ground, and he still kept pouring, in such a way that a lake of that most bitter liquid was formed around me and blessed Jesus. Afterwards, as if he felt relieved a little, he told me, "Daughter, have you seen how many bitternesses the creatures give me? So much that, unable to contain them any longer, I wanted to pour them into you. But you could not contain them either. So they went on the ground, and they will pour upon the people." While he was saying this, he marked the various points and towns which had to be stricken by the invasions of strangers. Some people were running away, some remained naked and starved, some mixed up, some killed. Horror and fright were everywhere. Jesus himself wanted to withdraw his glance from such tragedy. Frightened and terrorized, I wanted to prevent Jesus from doing this, but he seemed unshakable, and told me, "My daughter, the divine justice is pouring their own bitternesses down upon them. I wanted to pour them in you first, in order to spare some points to make you content. Then I poured the rest upon them. My justice demands its satisfaction. And I, my love and my life, I don't know much about justice. If I pray to you, it is for mercy. I make appeal to your love, to your wounds, to your blood. After all, they are still your children, your dear images. Poor brothers of mine, what can they do? In what constraints will they be placed? To make me content, you tell me that you poured into me, but the points that you save are too few. And he, on the contrary, it's too much. It is because I love you, otherwise I would have spared nothing. And even then, didn't you see that you could not contain any more of it?" I burst into tears, and I said, "Yet, you tell me that you love me. Where is all this love that you have for me? True love knows how to make the beloved one content in everything. And then, why don't you make me larger, so that I can contain more bitterness and spare my brothers?" Jesus cried with me, and disappeared. June 15, 1916. In the divine will everything is complete. The most powerful prayers over the heart of Jesus, and those which move him the most, are to clothe oneself with all that he himself did and suffered. Continuing in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus came, he transformed me completely in him, and then he told me, "Daughter, pour yourself into my will to make complete reparations for me. My love feels an irresistible need for them. After so many offenses of creatures, it wants one at least who, placing herself between me and them, would give me complete reparations, love for all, and would snatch from me graces for all. But you can do this only in my will, in which you will find me and all creatures. Oh, with what yearnings am I waiting for you to enter into my will, to be able to find in you the satisfactions and the reparations of all. Only in my will you find all things in act, because I am engine, actor and spectator of everything." Now, while he was saying this, I poured myself into his will, but who can say what I saw? I was in contact with every thought of creature, the life of which came from God, and I, in his will, multiplied myself in each thought, and with the sanctity of his will I repaired everything. I had a "thank you" for all, a love for all. Then I multiplied myself in the gazes, in the words and in everything else, but who can say what was happening? I lack the terms, and maybe the very angelic tongues would stammer, therefore I stop here. So I spent the whole night with Jesus in his will. Then I felt the Queen Mama near me, and she told me, "My daughter, pray." And I, "My Mama, let us pray together, for by myself I don't know how to pray." And she added, The most powerful prayers over the heart of my Son, and those which move him the most, are for the creature to clothe herself with everything he himself did and suffered, since he gave everything as gift to the creature. Therefore, my daughter, surround your head with the thorns of Jesus, bead your eyes with his tears, impregnate your tongue with his bitterness, clothe your soul with his blood, adorn yourself with his wounds, pierce your hands and feet with his nails, and like another Christ present yourself before his divine majesty. This sight will move him in such a way that he will not be able to deny anything to the soul who is clothed with his own insignia. But, oh, how little do creatures know how to make use of the gifts which my Son gave them. These were my prayers upon earth, and these are my prayers in heaven. So, together we clothed ourselves with the insignia of Jesus, and together we presented ourselves before the divine throne. This moved all. The angels made way for us and remained as though surprised. I thanked Mama, and I found myself inside myself. August 3, 1916. Each act the creature does is one more paradise she acquires in heaven. As I continue in my usual state, my lovable Jesus makes himself seen in passing, or he says a few words and then he runs away, or he hides in my interior. I remember that one day he told me, "My daughter, I am the center, and all creation receives life from this center. So, I am life of every thought, of every word, of every action, of everything. But creatures make use of this life I give them to take the occasion to offend me. I give life, and if they could, they would give me death." I also remember that as I prayed him to hold back the scourges, he told me, "Daughter, do you think I am the one who wants to scourge them? Ah, no. On the contrary, my love is so great that I consumed my whole life in redoing what man was obliged to do for the Supreme Majesty. And since my acts were divine, I multiplied them into so many as to redo them for all and for each one, in such a way as to fill heaven and earth, and to keep man defended so that justice might not strike him. But man, with sin, breaks this defense, and once the defense is broken, the scourges strike man. But who can say all the little things he told me? Then, this morning, I was praying and lamenting to Jesus for he was not answering me, especially because he does not stop chastising, and I said to him, "Why pray if you do not want to answer me? On the contrary, you tell me that the evils will get worse." And he, "My daughter, good is always good. Even more, you must know that each prayer, each reparation, each act of love, any holy thing that the creature does, is one more paradise that she acquires. So, the simplest holy act will be one more paradise. One act less, a paradise less. In fact, every good act comes from God, and therefore in every good act the soul takes God. And since God contains infinite, innumerable, eternal, immense joys, so many that the very blessed will not arrive at enjoying them all throughout all eternity, it is no wonder, then, that since each good act acquires God, God is almost bound to substitute them with as many contentments. So, if the soul suffers even distractions for love of me, in heaven her intelligence will have more light and will enjoy as many more paradises for as many times as she has sacrificed her intelligence. And so much more will she comprehend God. If she suffers coldness for love of me, so many paradises will she enjoy of the variety of contentments which are present in my love. If darkness, so many more contentments in my inaccessible light, and so with all the rest. This is what one prayer more or one less means. August 6, 1916. Need of Jesus for souls who live in the divine will to multiply. As I was in my usual state, my sweet Jesus came for just a little and in passing, and he said to me, "My daughter, my love feels an irresistible need for souls who live in my will to multiply, because they are the places of my quarters. My love wants to do good to all, but sins prevent me from pouring my benefits upon them, therefore I keep searching for these quarters. In them I am not prevented from pouring my graces, and through them, the towns and the people that surround them take part in them. Therefore, the more quarters I have on earth, the greater vent can I give to my love, and the more it pours itself out into benefits for the good of humanity." August 10, 1916. How in the divine will our pains are together with those of Jesus. Continuing in my usual state, I was feeling embittered because of the privation of my lovable Jesus, and I was lamenting to him that each privation he caused me was a death that he gave me, and a cruel death, such that while one feels death, one cannot die. And I said, "How can you have the heart to give me so many deaths?" And Jesus, in passing, told me, "My daughter, do not lose heart. When my humanity was on earth, it contained all the lives of creatures, and these lives came all from me. But how many of them would not return into me because they would die and bury themselves in hell, and I felt the death of each one, which tormented my humanity. These deaths were the most sorrowful and cruel pain of my whole life, up to my last breath. My daughter, don't you want to take part in my pains? The death you feel because of my privation is nothing but a shadow of the pains of death which I felt because of the loss of souls. Therefore, give it to me to sweeten the so many cruel deaths that my humanity suffered. Let this pain flow in my will, and you will find mine. And uniting with it, it will run for the good of all, especially for those who are about to fall into the abyss. If you keep it for yourself, clouds will form between you and me, and the current of my will be broken between you and me. Your pains will not find mine. You will not be able to diffuse yourself for the good of all, and will feel all the weight of it. On the other hand, if you think of how to let everything which you may suffer flow in my will, there will be no clouds for you. The very pains will bring you light, and will open new currents of union, of love and of graces. August 12, 1916. Glory of the souls who will live in the divine will on earth. I was fusing myself in the most holy will, and my sweet Jesus told me, "My daughter, only by one who lives in my will do I feel as though repaid for creation, redemption and sanctification, and she glorifies me in the way in which the creature must glorify me. Therefore these souls will be the gems of my throne and will take within themselves all the contentments and the glory which each blessed will have for himself alone. These souls will be as though queens around my throne, and all the blessed will be around them, and just as the blessed will be as many suns that will shine in the celestial Jerusalem, the souls who have lived in my will shine in my own sun. They will be as though circumfused with my sun, and these souls will see the blessed from within me, because it is right that, having lived on earth united with me, with my will, as they lived no life of their own, they have a place distinct from all others in heaven, and they continue in heaven the life which they lived on earth, completely transformed in me and immersed in the sea of my contentments.